Hello sweethearts. Today we're going to do some prick and stitch, which is what this is called. You can do this straight onto card or onto a picture, and I'm going to show you how to do a heart. So we need some paper or some card. You can definitely use these kinds of cards. Today I'm going to do it onto cartridge paper. Thick paper is what you need so that you can see it. And we need to have a heart template, and we have talked about that in some other videos. Obviously you can use a heart-shaped coaster, of course you can, but you can also make your own. And you get your piece of paper, fold it in half and cut out the half heart shape, and you will end up with that. We did that in our very first video actually on here. So we need ourselves our piece of paper there, and you need some thread and a needle and some scissors. So not a lot of equipment for this one. So we're going to get our piece of paper, put it down with our heart template and draw around it. Obviously that's another thing you need, isn't it? A pencil. Okay, now you should draw around that in pencil. I've used the big black felt tip pen so you can see it, but put your heart down and draw around it so that you have that. But yours will not look as felt tip penny as well. That, as for you, that's just so that you can see it on there. Okay, excuse me, sorry, I could hear my voice frogging a little bit there. Okay, and then we need to mark up where we're going to stitch. Now the quilters among you who may know really fantastic mathsy ways of measuring around a heart, feel free. You know that that is not my thing. So I am going to do this by guessing. Okay, just imagine going all the way through. So you're going to start at the bottom with number 1. So I'm going to put a dot and I'm going to write a number 1 at the bottom like that. Okay. Directly opposite at the top, we are going to put number 2. And you can mark it up like this using pencil though, and nice and light in case you want to rub it out later. So we've got 1, 2. And then we're going to go back down, leave, at primary school we would say a finger space, about a centimetre. And then you're going to put 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then you're going around marking it like that all the way around. Okay, and if I show you this one, this is where you might want to pause your video so that you can see this clearly. So I will hold it up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. So I'm hoping you're getting a nice clear shot of that, director. Are we getting a really clear shot so we can see that? Brilliant. So you can have a look and mark up your heart like that. Now, of course, it depends on the size of your heart as to what you're doing, but try and make sure you have an even number. It isn't the end of the world if you have an odd number. You can always just adjust it a little bit. But if you have ended up with an even number, that will help. Okay. I'm just checking from the back there, that looked like 23 was the last one, and I was thinking, am I doing that? But no, 24 is at the bottom, so we have a nice even number like that. Okay. Now then you want to thread up your needle. You are not going to be able to do this whole thing with one piece of thread, because remember we talked a few weeks ago about it will just get snarled and tied and a knot on it. So you are going to have to join your threads. Remember, it's not supposed to be longer than from the length of your arm, from your elbow to your fingers. I do it a little bit longer than that because I've been used to sewing, but you are going to have to join it. Now I'm using embroidery thread, which works really well for this. Also, I happen to have hundreds of embroidery threads actually, but it would work with string, wool, any kind of thread that you want. You will get a much more delicate looking one if you use sewing cotton, but it will still work and is actually easier to thread. So when you have your embroidery cotton, it comes in a skein like this, and I always take off these little bits here. Not everybody does that, but I would. Take those off and get off your length of thread that you want. Okay, so cut off whatever you want. That sort of length, and I know at the Zoom everybody asks me about lengths all the time, so that's about 45-50 centimetres. So you cut it like that. Now you can use all 6 strands at once, and that is actually what I did there. But it is quite tricky to thread those through a needle. You do need a big-eyed needle, and it can be just a little bit hard work. So you need, what I've decided to do today is separate them into 3s. If you're doing cross stitch, you separate into 2, but you basically separate it in half. So you've got 3 on either side and then just pull them. Now I always have a problem with this because as you're pulling it's twisting up and you really need a third hand. I don't have a third hand because my director is busy and I end up using my mouth. I do this. And it helps you to go all the way down to the bottom. And I've been doing that for years and I've never seen anybody else do that. So I don't know if that's just mine. But you have your 2 separate threads there, which you can put on one side because you're going to be coming back to those. And then you thread it up. Now, the word about your needle is you need your eye big enough for you to be able to use that happily. So one of those teeny tiny eyes might not be as suitable. And you do need a slightly sharp point. So not a tapestry needle, but a slightly sharp point. It doesn't have to be a total quilting perfect one, but enough to get through your piece of paper. So there are all different types of needles. I have all my needles in a little pouch like this, and you can just, work out which one suits you. Now, there are 2 different ways of doing this. I am comfortable with stitching from the back through. I've done a heck of a lot of cross stitching and I'm used to it. But if you want to do it from the front down so that you can see it and then rub off your pencil marks afterwards, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to start this way now so that you can see. So we need to tie a knot at the end. You're going to have a back on this, so it doesn't matter that it's a knot. We don't need to worry about that sort of cross stitch perfection where we don't have knots on the end. We're just going to tie a knot so that it won't come through, and we're going to go down at number 1. So I pricked right through there. Now some of you who know prick and stitch are going to be saying, isn't she going to prick? Okay, because sometimes people go dot 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 all the way around. Okay, yes you can, but I don't think that's necessary, and I actually think when you're doing it on paper, you make your hole too big. So I'm just going to prick as we go. That's the idea. So I've gone down at number 1 there, and I want to come back at number 2. Now I am going to have to guess this from the other side. As you can see, I'm looking through, and then I'm coming through. You just work out your way to do it. The thing about doing it onto card is that once you've made a hole, you've made a hole. You can't go back on it. So try to be sure that you're happy with it first, and try not to worry about total accuracy. I've been saying that for weeks now. Homemade things are supposed to look like this. Now pull all the way through until you can't pull anymore, making sure that you're not getting this part in there as well, so you're all right. And then we need to go, we've gone at 2, and then we need to go back down at 3. Now you're thinking you've got a big ugly knot here. Yes, because this is going to be the side that we're looking at. Okay, so this is your back and this is your front, so you need to keep your knots all on the same side when you're going. So I went 1, 2, 3. What am I doing now? 6. No, 4. Of course we're doing 4. So then we're going to come up at 4, and we're going to go in there like that, and we're going to go down at 5. Now as long as you make your thread as long as you can, but when you are doing it where you're coming back up, I'm getting a bit short here. Did that deliberately so that we could see. Could have been longer there, but I've gone 5, so now I'm going to be coming back at 6. I do not want to be joining here, because my knot is going to then end up on this side, and I'll have one knot here and one knot here, and that will mean I don't have a front and back. So I need to come through at 6 here. You can see where I'm going there. And then join my thread on this next side. Let's face it, that is not going to work, is it? That's not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to come back out again, and I'm going to have to join it here. Now obviously that piece of thread was not long enough, was it? Because we needed to do something a bit longer. And we know how to tie a knot to join things now, because we've done that several times. So we're just going to tie the knot, and when you're pulling it through, make sure that your knots are all ending up on the same side. Okay, now it doesn't matter that I did that hole, because I'm going to go back in the same one. And you just keep going all the way around like that. Now on this one I have actually written it in pencil when you're seeing, but that's my back. It's a big mess of untidiness, and it doesn't matter, because I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way around and ended up with that pattern. Now, when you finish with that pattern and you finished on 24, which was down at the bottom there and gone in, I was just leaving that thread at the back. You can see I've got a thread just hanging at the back there. Just leave that. And then you need to redo it. Now, I have to admit to you that I've actually run out of this colour thread. I got this far last night when I was doing your preparation one, and I underestimated how much thread it was going to use actually. So that's as far as I've got. So now when I'm going to show you, it's going to be a different colour. And that is, it's a design thing. You decided you wanted to do it all along. And I also used 6 there, but it would be easier for me to use 3. Now I'm just going to thread up my needle there and then tie a knot again to stop it coming through. It's always easier to tie the knot. If you do have a problem with knot, remember you're not looking at knots, you're not looking at the back, so use a little piece of sellotape to secure it if you don't want to do that. If maybe more younger crafters didn't have somebody to help them with a knot, then just use a little piece of sellotape. Now to go around the edge, you don't have to go around the edge. You could leave it looking like that, and that looks pretty cool like that. But if you want to go around the edge, you're going to do back stitch. I'm going to show you this because in a few weeks' time we're going to come back to back stitch. So I've pulled through at the next stage and I'm going down through the next one. And then I'm going to come up through the next one. And I'm using the same holes now. I'm not making new holes. And then I'm going to go back into that one, if you can see. Now when I come back up again, I'm not going there. I'm going there. If you want to go there, it will work, but back stitch really neatly will take you into that one, and then that's why it's called back stitch. We're coming back through that one, and you will end up with a neat edge all the way through your heart, which theoretically should be the same colour. Okay, all the way around until you get to the back. Now, if when you get to the back you have a nice long piece that you can tie a knot on, do that. If not, get yourself a little bit of sellotape and stick it down because you're not going to be looking at the back. Now, there are hundreds of different ways to do prick and stitch. You can end up with hundreds of different patterns depending on what you do. I've given you the easiest one when we started to start with, where you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, so that the numbers are going around like that to end up with that kind of pattern. Another super easy one is to use a circle. Find the middle of your circle and do it like that. And the circle can form almost anything. I turned that one into a mouse by giving him little ears and a tail. You can do that, and that is what we're going to do at the Zoom tomorrow. I'm going to show you how to do the circle one with lots of different, and turn them into lots of different animals. But have a go at doing that. You just have to make your prick definite as you go through. Don't think, doing different ones, okay? You be a bit definite as you go through. Try not to make a mistake in going on that. And then you can end up with a lovely one. And then you can end up with loads of different patterns and you can find those. Have a go. It makes a really lovely card for people or just a lovely picture. See you soon.